to you. Good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. You. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. You. Good morning, good morning to you. And many more, and many more, and many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I hope that you have been having a great and wonderful day. It is Get Free Friday. We are doing a short segment as we start to wrap up the week. I do want to thank you for your time and for your attention. This week has been kind of short, right? We jumped back in on Wednesday and we came on yesterday, and now it is Friday. We are working out some kinks here in the tech. Apparently, YouTube sort of goes in and out with letting you bring someone on. So I'm not sure what that is about, if it's only affecting my channel or if it's affecting other channels as well. But I'm only going to be reading from one book today, and we're going to look at Moving Beyond Broke. And then we're just going to hopefully open up and talk about some things that have happened this week. So, Pastor Ben, I'm going to go ahead and try to send you the link now so that when it's time for you to join, you'll be able to join. So, give me one moment here. All right. You said you couldn't even find me on yesterday, which is wild, because I was here. Um, but yeah, something weird is going on. It took me yesterday like 10 minutes to get on. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point today because we are doing a short show, but I do want to let people know that we are here and we're just working through whatever technical kinks YouTube has going on. I know that I don't have as many subscribers as other people, right? So that could be part of it. I am not sure, but we're on today, and hopefully you have the link now so that you can come into the platform and join. All right, let's increase that here. Okay, all right, and let's see. Okay, so let's hope that we don't have to do a whole lot of deleting people, but we will if necessary. We're looking at the topic today, Moving Beyond Broke, The Power of Perseverance in Personal Finance by Dasha Kennedy. Today is Finance Friday, Get Free Friday, Health Friday. So we hope that you are doing what you need to do in order to take care of yourself, to take care of your health, to take care of your home, to take care of your finances. We know right now, because of what's happening here in the United States, that a lot of people are starting to slowly feel the pressures of what is happening with our government shutdown. We know that people have been illegally fired from their jobs rather than being furloughed. We do know that the courts have come out to stop some of that firing from continuing, but that that does not necessarily mean that those people who have been let go are going to be able to get their jobs back. So a lot of people have been, their lives have been disrupted. So you might not be able to save up $1,000 right now, right? You might be working on making sure you can save $500 in the meantime. All right. So I do want to acknowledge that as we go into reading here, what she has to say about low effort ways to save up to $1,000. Good morning to those of you who are coming in. I'm not going to continue to pause to say hello, but if you're saying hello, good morning. Low effort ways to save up to $1,000. Incremental savings, or working with what you've got, as my mom put it, involves consistently setting aside small amounts of money over an extended period of time and allowing it to accumulate gradually. It's not about saving huge amounts of money at once, but making regular contributions, no matter how small they may seem. So she's really talking here about that consistent contribution, no matter how small. Consider it as building a financial safety net. A safety net is made up of numerous individual threads woven together, each thread representing a small contribution. Even the tiniest amounts can gradually build up to a strong safety net over time. By consistently setting aside small sums of money, you are reinforcing and strengthening your financial safety net. And you can rely on that safety net to fund whatever is important to you. If you're not sure how to start with incremental saving or how to fit it into your life, here are some simple strategies to try. Now, I like the language in her book because she's not forcing you and saying this is the way. She's not trying to, demand that you do it a certain way or else. She's not even telling you that this is the only way you can do it. She's only really offering you some suggestions and some strategies. And so maybe you're going to hear today something that can help you with your own strategizing. You might already be doing some of these, but today I encourage you to try to listen out for a strategy that you might not be thinking about. All right. The first strategy she has here is automated weekly transfers. This, she said, this is how I'm saving for the annual vacation with my sister. I save $20 per week in a high yield savings account, and my annual savings turns out to be a little over $1,000. Gradual savings plan is the next one. Start with $1 and increase the amount weekly. I'll get into the details of these plans and savings challenges. I've run them with my social media followers later in this chapter. The annual savings, starting with this gradual savings plan, $1,378 by the end of the year. The third option is a round up savings app, rounding up purchases to the nearest dollar when shopping online. The annual savings there can be $300 to $500 depending on your spending habits. If you're already a self identified shopaholic, this may not be the best idea. Instead, try number four. And number four is no spend days. One no spend day per week where you don't buy anything. There are also buy nothing groups on Facebook or in your local community where you all can actually barter or trade for goods and services to support your no spend days. An annual savings could be up to $520, assuming you save about $10 on each of your no spend days. Now, a lot of people are spending more than $10 a day, especially if you are getting coffee or you are eating out, once or twice a week, or if you're doing all of your major spending on a certain day. See where you can cut the costs. If you're like me, I was getting coffee like 5 days a week. I've cut that down to maybe getting coffee 2 to 3 times a week. And then I'm thinking about, okay, if I spent that much on getting coffee, I'm going to go ahead and put that much into my account, right? I'm going to leave it there. And five, meal planning. Reduce costs for eating out by planning your meals ahead instead of getting fast food, takeout, or eating at restaurants. Now, of course, if you want to do special occasions, my husband and I often do small celebrations. So if we, for example, get a new client or we have a deal that goes well, we might do a celebratory dinner or something like that. Or we might do a celebratory let's go for a dessert, right? And so she's talking about ways to reduce your costs. If you know that you're a person that loves to eat out all the time, think about 1 or 2 days a week where you don't want to eat out or you don't have to eat out, and make those your days that you are doing some meal planning. For my household, we do meal planning 7 days a week. Our grocery spending is centered around our meal planning. We have 4 or 5 consistent dishes that we eat all the time. And so that makes our grocery shopping a little bit more consistent, right? It makes our pricing a little bit more consistent when we go to the grocery store because we know we're going to get the same amount of um, cheese or the same amount of meats or whatever. So think about that in terms of reducing your costs. And then last one, number 6, pack lunches for work. Instead of buying lunch during your day, going to the vending machine or getting delivery, which we know delivery can spike your expense overall, bring your lunch from home. Annual savings, $1,000, assuming you're saving at least $5 per day. All right. And she has one last section we're going to read here, and then we're going to open it up for some conversation. I don't necessarily like this term, but I know a lot of people use it. Saving FU money for financial security. It probably won't take long for you to find big and small reasons to save. Whatever your savings goal, let me give you one more. This is your FU money fund. Now, I would call it the um, get out of get out of decision fund. Um, when you feel like you're facing something and you feel under the pressure to accept the decision, this is where you want to have that money in play. This money is any amount saved in a secure place that enables a person to walk away when it's time to go. Now, some of us may need more than $1,000, so your time to go plan may take you more than a year for you to save up enough money for you to feel comfortable saying, if I have to tell this person no, if I have to leave this job, I want to make sure that I could at least cover myself once I leave. You need this money to get out of a situation, a relationship, a job, a home, a town, or an environment without having to rely on anyone but yourself and your stash. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad situation, nor does the fund have to replace all of your income. It could be just enough money to allow you to prioritize yourself right now at this moment, to take advantage of an opportunity, or to take some time off to figure some things out. This money is also helpful for a time like furlough, where you might not want to go job searching or hop into something new because you might be waiting on what's going to happen with your furlough. You might be trying to figure out, are they going to, is this going to be temporary or is this going to be a permanent thing? And you don't want to make any moves right now. This is the time where you want to have that stash so that you can take, October to December to find out what your next steps are. There is no set amount for this stash because it depends solely on you and your lifestyle. The exciting thing about it is that in the beginning, you may have saved up just enough to take a day off from work and not worry about losing wages for a day when you really need a mental health day, but you're out of paid time off. As you keep saving small amounts over time, you'll find this growing big enough to float you for a couple of months. If you decide to move cross country, without having a new job lined up, for example. And of course, this stash can be a lifesaver if you or a loved one are faced with an emergency and you need cash fast. Think through your needs and calculate how much you think you'll need so that you can put yourself in a position to say, I don't need this, I don't need to be here, and you are able to walk away. Then start stashing your cash in small doses. These days, knowing that I have a safety net that I can rely on to catch me during financial emergencies is incredibly important to me, as I know it is for most people. I want to emphasize that financial emergencies can take many forms and are unique to each individual situation. While there are some emergency situations that are commonly recognized, there are also some that don't adhere to a conventional norm, such as a government shutdown. Let me share a personal example. In 2021, I relocated 600 miles away from my family to a town where I had very little community and friends. I anticipated the possibility of sudden family obligations arising and demanding my immediate presence back home. Rather than wait until something happened, I started saving money in small increments for emergency travel. This money was separate from my vacation fund and could be used only in moments such as this one. The scenario became a reality when my youngest son's grandmother passed away, propelling us into an abrupt trip from Atlanta to St. Louis. Despite our short time there, flying in the evening before the funeral and leaving immediately after the service, the cost of plane tickets, hotel accommodations, and other expenses would have definitely put a strain on my finances and forced me to either dip into my savings or use a credit card. Despite the distance, the emotional connection and responsibility I felt to support my son made this situation a genuine emergency for me. Some may not believe that situation happening 600 miles away is an emergency, but my personal circumstance transformed it into one for me. This is why it's important for you to define what an emergency is to you and prepare for the potential risks specific to your circumstances. Now, of course, if you are a person that has older parents, right? If you have people who are doing caregiving for your relatives, you definitely want to think about this kind of fun with the emergency travel. Why? Because one thing that I'm finding out as I have gone through the process of elder care with a group of us taking turns to care for an elder, there are costs associated with that. Sometimes there are costs with things that your elder needs while they're in elder care. Um, there's obviously, if you're traveling a great bit of distance, you're going to need money for gas. You might need money for some, temporary food products and stuff like that. And so, if you don't have emergency travel, if you don't have an emergency slush fund, so to speak, built into what you're doing, it might start to hit your pocket after a while if especially that person is in a long-term care situation or they're in a rehabilitative situation. So I actually like this idea of having a separate account just for emergency travel where you might need to have that money in hand and you're not necessarily looking to someone else to help finance that. She says, I would define a financial emergency as any act or event that has the potential to put your financial stability at risk. That can be as common as a medical emergency or as unconventional as a canceled hair appointment. Defining what a financial emergency is for you means embracing the fact that they are not one size fits all and that you can prioritize saving for whatever is important to you. And that's the key word, to you. So next time we come back into this book, we'll be looking at breaking down an emergency saving strategy and looking at how incremental saving is a superpower for financial security. All right. Now, Pastor Ben, if you want to come on and add yourself, hopefully my volume is better. I did turn my volume all the way up, so hopefully everybody can hear, and hopefully our volume won't change too much once another person is being added on. Again, to those of you who are here with us this morning, I want to say welcome. This is Daring Dialogues, and I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. We talk about all things here, but we do it in the context of reading. So we are reading aloud Monday through Friday. We're getting ready to wrap this season up, but we will take a break and we'll come back and we'll start a new season, and we'll be continuing most of the books that we have been reading this season right here. Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. I can see you and I can hear you. All right. How are you doing this morning? Let me start there.
I'm I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome. Awesome. So this week we've had, some choppy internet and communications and stuff like that. Wednesday, we talked about families, and we have just gotten into the chapter talking about dealing with sibling relationships. And we were talking about parents and knowing that your children are different, and that sometimes uh, we wonder, how did we come out of the same household as children to the same parents, right? So we talked a little bit about that on Wednesday. On
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, what did we cover on Thursday? Reparations. So on Thursday, we talked about reparations and the spirit of justice. We talked about how um, Africa and African Americans have a rich history when it comes to faith before colonization. And we have to stop letting people tell us, that the only faith we've had is the one that quote unquote a slave master gave to us, which, if you start reading some of the enslaved accounts and read their own words, many
Mm-hmm.
of them specifically, explicitly tell you they had faith before enslavement.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them,
Yeah.
some of them knew Christ before the
Mm-hmm.
colonizer tried to give them a version of Christ. And so this narrative
Mm-hmm.
that everybody was just blind, and they were just led to God through their slave master is actually ahistorical. And I need more people to read the accounts of our ancestors so you can know that they knew God for themselves. And not only did they know God for themselves, not only were they practicing, some of them, their African traditional religions, right? Or their African traditional rituals, they were also followers of Christ. And they had
Mm-hmm.
enough sense to know when they were being given a colonized version of Christ, and they had enough sense to play dumb in front of the master and still go
Mm-hmm.
and do their own practices in the hush harbors. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think enough of us know that. And I know we don't, because I keep seeing this narrative come from black people. And I'm like, I'm going to need y'all to pick up some books and read the enslaved narratives. Read what they said when they were interviewed. It's the same
Right.
thing. It's the same thing with the resistance narrative, that black people were not resisting. I'm like, yes, they absolutely were. There's records of them resisting in small and large ways. So we have to stop letting someone else give us a narrative that we don't check into ourselves and ask ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
is this actually true? I know that I've heard this maybe most of my life, but is this actually true? And then today, we're talking about small incremental saving. I know for myself, small incremental saving is what got us out of the rut people had driven us into. And when I say people, I mean being betrayed by family and getting into a place where um, it devastated and decimated our finances to the place where we had to build back, and we had to do it in small increments. Now, did it feel like it was taking forever? Absolutely, yes. Initially, to start moving forward, it took us about 4 years to climb out of the pit we had been thrown into financially. It took about 4 years. And then from that, it took about another 6 years to fully come out of that place of financial devastation. So when I share and when I talk about these things, I want to be clear that I'm not talking about it from a place of I've never had any financial devastation happen. Like we had issues with our home. My car got repossessed. We're in a new state. Like she said, moving from one state to the next without family supports or thinking you were going to have family supports, and then your family abandons you after they financially defraud you. That's what happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could have just said, you know what, I'm feeling down about this. Oh, well, this is how things are. And we could have stayed in a place of woe is me and, sunk into resentment, right? We could have done that. We could still be in the same spot saying, well, I don't have anything because of X, Y, and Z. But no, we didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
We made do with what we had. We um, went through some very, very humbling experiences. Um, People kicked us while we were down
Mm-hmm.
several times and several
Mm-hmm.
people, but we don't spend our time talking about the people that kicked us down. We just don't. Because what good is that? I don't want to get impressed. I don't want to get them press. So we focused on building back our life financially.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can look back and we can take those lessons and we can help other people now, which is what we are aiming to do, is help other people. Um, but it also gave us a
Mm-hmm.
perspective. It also gave us a perspective that not everybody who is down wants to be down. And unfortunately,
Right.
that's a
Right.
narrative that's going around where people who are unhoused, um, people who are the working poor, this narrative keeps coming up of, oh, they want to be this way. They want to be poor. They don't want to work. No, poor people are some of the hardest working people you will ever know.
Mm-hmm.
They're some of the hardest working people you will ever know. And if you've never been in a place of abject poverty and looking up and trying to figure out how did I get here when I've been working this hard, you might not understand that.
Get that garbage from right quick, Dan.
But when you realize that some of the systems are in place to keep you down, you have to start developing a strategy and a plan to get out of that space. And so that's what we did. We developed our own strategy and plan to get out of that space. But while we were in that space, we ate a lot of humble pie, a lot. And we had to be okay with
Mm-hmm.
that because we had to know that this is part of our story. This is part of our journey. It doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop here. So that is a recap of the
Mm-hmm.
week. Tell me your thoughts because I know you got a chance to listen to some, but then we had, the issues with bringing you on. So tell me your thoughts on
Yeah.
this week.
Okay. The family thing, I actually grew up like that. I had this one sister, anything came out of her mouth, unfortunately, for the most other end of that. But things changed. We all grew up. She turned mom against me for one final time, and mom woke up, and she realized all she had to do was realize who I was and who she raised me to be. See, and actually open.
Your sound is cutting out a little bit.
Once she was who she raised me to be, at that point, this particular sibling couldn't tell her anything else about me because she know what she saw. She know who she raised. So we had that going on, and I grew up with it. Um, and as far as our history, as far as who we served and all that stuff, many people don't understand. The original Christians were our ancestors. So, I mean, once you get that, all that other stuff dissipates because now you understand that, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
to repackage it to us, saying that they were what, bringing us into a religion when really y'all bastardized our belief.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See, we're waking up to that now.
Yeah, a
Many of
lot
us.
of people are realizing that when these councils came together, and of course, this is a part of church history, so
Hmm.
it's not even like it's being hid per se. It's a matter of you saying, I want to learn the history of what I am a part of. If I say
Hmm.
that I follow Christ, I need to start learning who Christ was, how Christ's message got distorted, how did
Hmm.
Christ's message become a state religion, and
Hmm.
who began to distort it further. All of that is a part of church
Hmm.
history. And if you start
Yes.
looking at and start reading up on church history, you will start to understand, okay, what we've come to accept now is not what was originally.
Right.
And once people start to understand that, like you said, people start to evaluate what it is that they have learned in tradition, what it is they have learned through their denomination. Now they may come and evaluate it and decide that, okay, I'm okay with these changes as long as I have a core
Hmm.
belief in Christ and what Christ has instructed me on how to live. I'm okay with the structural institutional changes. Some people come to that conclusion. Other
Hmm.
people say, I don't like what the institution has done to the faith, and I don't want to be a part of that. And I think we have to stop demonizing people who've decided that I don't like what the institution did to the faith, and I don't want to be a part of that of the institution. I think it's okay for people to say
Hmm.
that. And we need to stop demonizing people and saying they're the devil and saying hell is reserved for them because they don't like what the institution did to the faith. Come on. Are we really doing that? Are we still doing that in 2025 is the question. And so when I come upon people who say, I love Christ, but I don't like your Christianity, I understand that. When I come upon people who say,
Me too.
if only the Christians would actually follow the teachings of Christ, we wouldn't have some of the activities we have going on now. I understand that. And so I
Hmm.
don't knock people who say I'm not affiliated with um what do they call it? Organized religion. I don't knock people who say that.
Me either.
don't knock people who say I'm not associated with a pastor. I don't knock people who say I'm not associated with a particular network. My thing is, are you doing what is good for humanity? Are you valuing yourself in a sacred way? Are you treating yourself sacred? Because I'm guaranteeing you, if you're learning how to treat yourself sacred, chances are you're looking at the people around you, and that same sacredness that you're starting to hold for yourself, you will start to hold it for other people, regardless of
Mm-hmm.
who they are, regardless of what background they come from, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of if they have faith or not have faith. I guarantee you, if you
Mm-hmm.
start treating your own self
Mm-hmm.
sacred, you will start to realize the sacredness of others. And then
Mm-hmm.
you,
We can boil that down
I was gonna say, and then you'll start,
into one
and then
word.
you'll start asking the creator, how should I treat the person that's sacred? Because I know I'm sacred. How should I treat the
Mm-hmm.
person in front of me that you also created, that you also see as sacred? Start with the basics.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Humane. That one word sums it up. Humane.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are a
Mm-hmm.
humane, you see other people the same way. They're humane. They're human. They're people.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Mm-hmm.
rights. They have freedom.
Mm-hmm.
They need help.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my place to help them if I can.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's being humane. The flip side of that is about me. It's about my organization. It's about my group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to stray away from what,
Yeah.
but we're going to still call ourselves Christian. And I'm going to say this, I am so glad white ministers actually calling out these people that call themselves Christians
Mm-hmm.
and are actually going of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been saying it, but they haven't
Exactly.
been listening to us.
Mm-hmm.
But now their people are beginning to call them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. And and again,
People,
to your point, we've been sounding
yeah,
this alarm at least since 2012. I would say for us in a ministry capacity, the Lord told us start sounding the alarm. Start telling Americans, especially, that there's going to be a reckoning in this country with race. There's going to be a exposing in this country with race. And we have seen that. We have seen
mm-hmm,
um, God begin to take the covers off, right? And a lot of people's hearts have been broken
mm-hmm,
because they're starting to realize, man, the person that was sitting next to me in the church pew, the person that I ate lunch with on my lunch break at work, right? The person I'm sitting next to on the bus. Like, it's exposing all of the things that are happening now are exposing people's real and true hearts. And so, yes,
mm-hmm,
some of it is heartbreaking. Some people are having to cut ties with family, right? Cut ties with their best friends, cut ties with organizations they might have been a part of for decades. This is a part of the story where you're going to feel some of the pain, but stay in the story. Stay with
mm-hmm,
me, right? That's what we say to people. Stay with me. The story ain't over yet. Stay
mm-hmm.
with me. The story's not over. But unfortunately, a lot of people right now are feeling the disillusionment. They're wondering, what have I actually been putting my faith in? They're wondering, who have I actually been eating with at my table? They're wondering, what actually happened with my place of employment? Did these people always feel this way about me? That as soon as they get the opportunity to give me a pink slip, they rush to give me the pink slip, even though I have done nothing wrong. I've done my job. I've been faithful, right? I've done everything you've asked. I've gotten the awards. I've gotten this of the year and that of the year. But as soon as the edict comes down, you rush to get rid of me. That is jarring for people. People who have spent their life's work doing something, and to see it destroyed and trashed, and not even being given an opportunity to say goodbye, not even being given a proper exit, but to wake up one morning and find yourself locked out of your company, your key, uh, you know, this, whatever they do with the keys, right? And then getting an email in the morning that you have been let go. That's devastating. I don't care what anybody says. That's devastating and that's traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't gloss over the fact that people are hurting. And in the process of people hurting, like we said today, you still have to make provisions for your life.
Yes.
And I can tell you, it's a painful thing when you realize that you've been betrayed, and you realize you've been betrayed financially, and what that might mean for your life. That things might shift for you in
Mm-hmm.
the next 30 days, and you may not be the same person you were. I'm never going to be the same person I was before somebody upended my life financially. I'm not that person
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I'm just not. There's certain things, there's certain people I don't play with. I don't play about my money anymore. I ain't play then, but I certainly don't play now. And
Mm-hmm.
so who you were, who you were before these things happened, it is okay to take time to grieve that person. It is okay to grieve the fact that you are never going to be that person again. It's okay to grieve that the level of trust you had in certain institutions, you're never going to have that level of trust again.
Right.
You're just not. The American people right
Mm-hmm.
now, especially, are in a form of grief because we now know,
Mm-hmm.
especially Black Americans. I know most of us get up and we go about our day and we do what we do, right? We have resilience and all that and Black power and all that. We get it. But at the same time, Black Americans are also grieving because y'all are showing us what we already knew in our hearts to be true about this nation.
Mm-hmm.
That people kept telling us, oh, we've evolved so much. And
Mm-hmm.
Black people kept telling you and warning you, no, you have not. You have not evolved because you've not done the work to evolve. And
Mm-hmm.
even with the laws and things that we had, we most of us knew that all it would take is the right group of people in power to roll back those advancements. And
Mm-hmm.
people didn't believe that that was the end game. And people kept telling you year after year after year after year, the end game is to make sure we don't have any rights. The end
Mm-hmm.
game is to bring us back to 1619. And some of y'all, I don't think my audience, but a lot of people were like, nah, that can't be true. Nah, they can't really do that. Nah, we got too many things in this country to make sure that don't happen. Well, where are we now?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we now? Because structurally in our DNA, we know white people better than they know themselves.
Yeah.
And we knew there's entirely too many white people in this country who are not evolved and who continue to teach their children that dehumanizing us is okay. We knew that there were too many people and are too many people still doing that. So when people say, let's end racism, racism cannot end until you stop the indoctrination of it into the hearts of the next generation. And we already see you got little children trying to do harm to other little black children, which means it's still
Mm-hmm.
being instilled, which means our youngest generation is already being set up to continue it. I'm not talking Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z or the millennials. I'm talking Gen Alpha and Gen Beta are already being indoctrinated to continue this. So that means we got at least another 40 years to contend with of these same behaviors. 40 years. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
47, going to be 48 this year. That means if I live, right? That means I'll be pushing 90 and there'll still be a generation who feels about me like they felt about my great 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 grandparents. I need people to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do we do in that case? We number one have to fortify ourselves that we got a whole nother lifetime generation to deal with people. And number two, we got to make sure that we outnumber them.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, the only thing that's going to help us is the fact that truth outnumbers hate.
Mm-hmm.
And that the people who hate us, that we are making sure that they lose their seats of power.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where we
Mm-hmm.
are. So when I look at what's the end game, what is the long game we have to play in here now? These people have to get lose their seats of power.
Yeah.
And
Every one of them.
and should we ever get somebody else in there, because right now with the potential gutting of the Voting Rights Act, I'm not sure they decided on it yet. I'm still looking at the news on that. We got to make sure that we have more Supreme Court judges, or we gonna continue
Mm-hmm.
to have this problem for the next 40 years of them ruling against the rights of everyone. So they got to stack the courts. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
turn the tide away from this majority, not even conservative, this majority pro Yahtzee court, you're gonna have to pack the
Mm-hmm.
courts so that their vote is a moot point. That's kind of where we are. Your thoughts?
True. 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 I'm gonna speak on two things real quick. I'm gonna end with what you just spoke on, but I'm gonna speak on two things real quick. Um, we as people, we need to work our way, as you say, save a little here, save a little there. Now, I've met quite a few people that are hard workers, but they're homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? That's because housing is so high.
Mm-hmm. And housing
They
is
can't afford housing.
and housing is so high because corporate entities are buying them And people
Mhm.
are saying there needs to be a law for corporate entities to not be buying up all of the single family homes. These are things that are fixable. We
Mhm.
just need to fix them. The bills have to be put forth and proposed. But yeah, and we already know where that leads. If you have a
Mhm.
nation where there is housing, because people keep saying there's not enough housing. No, it's not that. There is enough housing. It's who owns them, who owns most of the housing, and the pricing involved where people cannot afford to get into the housing. So we got to deal with that. We got to deal with that first. Um, but the goal of the wicked is to make as many people unhoused as possible, because we told people this was going to happen. We said that they were going to price you out of housing, and then they were going to create a law criminalizing you not having housing.
Mhm.
We told people that before any of this happened. And then, because you are unhoused and it's now a crime to be unhoused, they now have um, the legal setup for you to become a legal slave
Mhm.
by imprisoning you for something you cannot control, which is the amount of housing available to you.
Mhm.
So it all leads back to all these paths lead back to slavery. If you're wondering what the master plan is with all these laws, it all leads back to slavery. Slavery
Mhm.
by imprisonment, by detainee centers, right? It's essentially slavery. That's what it is. They've already said we want to take the detainees and we want to put them where? On the farms. Why?
Mhm.
Because they no longer even want to pay the farmers the bare wages. Why pay them the bare wages when we can just criminalize them, put them in the detainee camps, and then put them back on the farms and pay them nothing? Because
Mhm.
again, it goes back to slavery.
Mhm.
And so people, sometimes people are wondering, like, well, what's the end game? Slavery. Slavery is the end game.
Yeah.
You look at all of their plans. What does it lead back to? It leads back to people in captivity, people incarcerated, people detained for what?
Free
Slavery.
labor. Mhm.
So the game of capitalism doesn't stop getting played. They just find new ways to bring it back to that main point. And the main point is slavery.
Mhm. Yep. And people have been warned over and over again. But like you said, they're like, not here in America. We've come too far.
And I'm like, yes, here in America. Are you paying attention?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because it was actually happening right before our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
All you had to do was pay attention and
Yeah.
realize exactly what it was. We didn't just get here in one day.
No, no, we did not.
This happened over decades. See,
Yeah.
and then
Decades.
especially after that guy Obama got elected president, then he got elected again. Oh, that means we got to do this expeditiously now. We got to speed this up, and they did. They
Yeah.
did.
I mean, if we look at, let me see. I want to make sure that I say do my data right. Let me see. Because some of them had more than one term. So let me see. How many U.S. presidents have there been? The United States has had 45 former U.S. presidents, and they still mad that 1 out of 45 was black.
Mhm. Mhm.
I want y'all to think about that. They're still mad that not 50%, that not 50% were black. Okay? They're still mad that 0.02% of all presidents in the United States have been black. Now let's look at how many vice presidents have there been. Let's see. There have been 50 U.S. vice presidents since the office was created in 1789. So there's been more vice presidents than presidents. So out of 50, again, 0.02% of our vice presidents have been black. I want y'all to understand that. These people lost their minds, not because 1% of their leaders at the highest level have been black, not because 0.5% of leaders at the highest level have been black, because 0.02% of the leaders at the highest level have been black.
Mhm.
And they have the nerve to go around chanting, "We're losing our place." I just want us to understand this. 0.02%. And they're shouting
Mhm.
that they are the ones being persecuted in this country,
Mhm.
that their values are under attack
Mhm.
because 0.02% of the top highest level of leadership in the country has been black. Think about that. 0.02% for them means they're not getting their fair share.
Mhm.
That is wild. That should
Mhm.
make you say, what in the world are they talking about? And let's not just do your homework and go down the list and start researching how many senators have ever been black. How many congresspersons have ever been black? And understand, we're nowhere near, we're nowhere near, or should be not considered a threat to their power structure.
Nowhere near it.
But
But
less than 1% is a threat to them. So just imagine, less than 1% is a threat to them. Not 50%, not 25%, not 10%, not even 5%, not 1%, 0.02%. And this is how they have chosen to raise the temperature in this nation.
mhm. Yeah.
So this is there's something psychotic. That's the word I'm gonna use. There's something psychotic about that. That somebody gets 0.02% of a chance and it's the end of the world for you. What do you
Mhm.
know? What do you know about us that we don't know? That us getting 0.02% of leadership in the country means you see it as an existential threat. Final thoughts.
Well, that's because they know number one. Let me go here. Number one, the black president. showed his intellectual level, and it was far superior than many of them. That was a problem in itself. And then he got elected twice. And then 4 years later, here we go with this very intelligent black woman as a vice president. Oh, now you know America is just done fell apart.
We're gonna stop here for today.
America is going just straight going to hell in a handbasket. A handbasket. That's the way they look at it. That's the way many of them see it. They don't see America going to hell in a handbasket because of over 400 years of oppression of God, the descendants of God's chosen people. They don't see that. But that's where we are. Confederacy, when they lost the war, they should have been squashed. It should have been dismantled. But instead, they were allowed to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are.
Yeah, they were allowed to kind of keep their head down and keep quiet and
Hmm.
have their reenactments and again, what are you reenacting? This is why we have a whole 40 more years. Yeah.
Hmm.
And we've already talked about the strategies, but you got 40 years of this.
One more thing. While we were talking, a news thread flashed across the screen.
Mm-hmm.
They're petitioning to remove Bad Bunny from the Super Bowl halftime. I thought they were coming up with their own halftime show.
Yeah, I thought so too.
See, this shows who they are. They keep showing themselves.
But it's
We
so
want to
weird
control and
because
run everything. We don't want anybody to have anything but us.
yeah, it goes back to that 0.02%
Hmm.
because he would be the only one.
Hmm.
And they don't even want him to be the only one.
Mm.
Wow.
And he is American
Yes. Mm-hmm.
because Puerto Rico is American territory because America demanded it and actually took it over.
Don't be telling
Learn your
America.
history, people.
Don't be telling America about its history. Oh my goodness. I want to thank you, Pastor. Thank you for the conversation today. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to thank you for your time and for your attention. Know that when we talk about white here, we are in fact talking about whiteness. We're talking about the system of whiteness, the system of
Hmm.
social capital that advantages you over everyone else. That's what we're talking about. So I want to make that caveat because I know somebody will come in my comments and they will say, not all white people. We're talking about whiteness and the system, again, that advantages you over everyone else. That is what
Hmm.
America is built on. And if you want to know where it began, go back to study Bacon's Rebellion. That's when the social system of whiteness was enacted after Bacon's Rebellion. Okay, little history nugget there. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I want to thank you as your host, Shantae Charles, for joining us today. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be what?
Light.
Light. Take care, everyone. Be well, and most importantly, be light. We hope to be back with you on Monday. Take care.